Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm gonna do a classic rock reaction, man. This is Led Zeppelin. Led Zeppelin, a song called Candy Store Rock. And what I'm gonna do here, man, with Led Zeppelin is I'm gonna do what I call a back-to-back. So in a back-to-back, I do first reaction to the studio rendition, and then I'm going to cover a live rendition of the same song, so back to back. Kind of see the artist in two different lights, you know. And before I forget, let me say thank you very much to Scott Swagger. Scott, thanks, man. Scott sent me the link for both the studio and the live renditions, with also a note and a warning that the quality, visual and especially the audio quality of the live rendition is not all that. So hey, we'll check it out anyway. Scott, I appreciate the warning and thanks for sending me the links, man. So Candy Store Rock, man, Led Zeppelin. Let's check this out. Alright, Led Zeppelin, Candy Store Rock. Let's get it. That's wild. Got a good rockabilly jam going on. The sexual puns of Robert Plant. It's a long outro. Still going. Hey, that was the shit, man. That was the shit. Candy Store Rock. Wow, man. The sexual puns of Robert Plant in his songs. Man, I like your honey and it sure likes me. What did he say? I got my hands in your jar or something like that. I got my spoon in your jar. Unbelievable, man. But you know, you can take a song like that with risque subject matter like that and turn it into just a really, really cool, awesome jam. I remember when I was doing an Aerosmith reaction and Steven Tyler was singing something about, baby, I'm the lord of your thighs. Man, you know, sometimes these guys, the way they express themselves, and you don't notice it because the musicianship and everything around the lyrics are so good, right? But I'm someone, my mind for some reason zeroes in on lyrics, and a lot of the times I can catch the lyrics and what they mean. I don't know, it's just a mental exercise I've developed over, I don't know how long, where it comes to music. I like to key in on it. Some people have said to me it's a fool's errand to try and dissect lyrics, but I don't know, I guess I'm a fool because it's just my way. But Robert Plant, man, I get a laugh out of some of his sexual puns in his songs. Just very creative and just a lot of fun. Another thing too, two things. One, I like the direction of this album, Presence. I like the variety. They can literally at this point now, what is it, 6, 7 albums along in their career? They know that they can literally wake up in the morning, flip a coin to decide in which direction they want to source a song from, pull a song from. They can just literally say, yeah, let's go with rockabilly, let's go with this, let's go with that, let's just do this. And they know that they're going to create something really excellent to masterful. And that's where Led Zeppelin is at this stage in their career with Presence. And another thing too, to all of you crazy ass fanatical Led Zeppelin fans, when you send me information, remember, you are sharing that information, your impression, your points of view with a very, very naive rock novice here. And so I sometimes take your ideas, your POV seriously, and most of the time I do. But then, of course, as I go along, I discover my own impression, my own POV, and it's in direct contrast to some of you. What I'm saying is this: a lot of you said to me that this album is the beginning of the end. It shows a decline. It's the shits. It's this. It's this. It sucks. All of this sort of thing. And I've been waiting to exhale the whole damn time. So what am I on? I'm on side 2 now. And I haven't seen any evidence whatsoever of any sort of decline in their quality, in their musicianship, in their creativity, in anything. I haven't seen it. And so you come at me like this, and you precondition me, sometimes in a good way, but in a case like this is an example, in a bad way. So, a reminder, I did not grow up on rock and roll. And when you hit me with, oh, this album sucks compared to this and this and this and this, you make an impression, right? And so check yourselves next time you're trying to give me advice on certain bodies of work and music. Of course, I'm going to get to it and make up my own mind. And then I'm going to come back at you like this, right? So I'm giving you a warning. Don't come at me like, yo, this really, really sucks. I advise you to actually skip this, skip that. It's not as good as this. It's not as good as that. Yo. So I'm just giving it out because there's a handful of you who said that to me about this album. And if I didn't have a strong enough impression in my own mind to say I'm going to make up my own mind, I would have missed out on a lot of music. A lot of you said the same thing to me about Aerosmith. Oh, skip this, skip this, skip this. And I would have missed out on some really, really good music. So remember, man, I'm a very, very impressionable rock novice, right? So just be careful when you're giving me your POV on certain things. Hey, it's your point of view, but it's a limited point of view. And you got to realize that. Here's another example. The crunge. I don't like the crunge. I don't like the crunge. I'm not going to say at all, but there's some parts of the crunge. If you were to break it down out of a score of 10, let's just say it's 6. So 6 qualifies as me not liking it. I don't hate it, but I don't like it. However, that's just my opinion, because I know that there's a lot of people out there who do like the crunge. And I'm not going to try to convince them otherwise. If you ask me, I'll tell you why, and I can break it down for you why I don't like it. But I don't hate it. You know what I'm saying? But when you just come out with a straight blanket statement like, this sucks, I don't like this, you're not going to like this, you're going to hate this. No, man. Right? So all I'm saying, I've been talking for the last 5 minutes about this, is just check yourself when you're about to give me advice, and especially your impressions on things. That's all. That's my point. I'm going to shut up now. So, back to Candy Store Rockman and the album. I have not seen evidence of any kind of decline in their quality and their creativity. I think this represents diversity. I think this represents range, how far they can go, what sources they can pull from, what they can create literally out of nothing. They've got that skill. How many artists wish that they had that? And again, I hear things about Led Zeppelin. Oh, I don't like them because of this. I don't like anything that they've ever done. And this is a quote coming from a very, very noteworthy musician, a legendary musician, saying something like that. You don't like anything that they've ever done, you are totally out of your mind. I don't believe you for 1 minute. It's got to be backed by something else, some sort of a personal strife, some sort of a personal whatever. There's no way that anyone can listen to the body of Led Zeppelin and say that I don't like anything that they've ever done. I don't believe you whatsoever. Anyway, so in regards to this album, I am going to be very, very, and I know myself very well, I'm going to be very guarded with what people say to me about Led Zeppelin going forward. And I know this. I'm going to make this statement. I haven't even gotten to the end of their catalog. I'm not a fanatical Led Zeppelin fan. I will not ever be a fanatical Led Zeppelin fan or a fanatical fan of anything. But I will say this about Led Zeppelin. I know enough about them now that you can take their worst material, and I know that I haven't gotten to all of their stuff, but you can take their worst material and some random upstart group can come along, take that worst material from Led Zeppelin and have a very successful solo career, or you know what I'm talking about, a recording career. Have a very successful recording career. So The bar of Led Zeppelin, of course, I know is really, really up here. But if you take their really, really bad stuff or whatever it is, someone can have a successful recording career. I'm convinced of that. And I haven't even gotten to the end of their catalog. All right. So, man, this is a great song. I really like that kind of bouncy vibe to it. And even though it has a different flavor, it doesn't have a whole tremendous amount of thunder or a blues signature or what have you. You know it's still Led Zeppelin. It's still got their essence to it. And then the third thing I'm going to say about Led Zeppelin that I've come to appreciate is you can focus in on each individual musician in that group and appreciate what they're doing. It's as if they're all doing their individual thing, and then they come together collectively, and then you have a drop, or you have that cohesive thing that's coming together. I love the relationship between the two Johns, and then I love the relationship between Page and Plant, and then of course then the relationship between Page and Jones, and then you can kind of trade off the relationships. You know, the relationship between Page and Bonham. The guitar does something great, the drums will do something great. You know, so there's the dynamic of focusing on the individual and then also on the group. So when I'm listening in a couple of different ways, and it's very, very, how would I put it, entertaining, enjoyable, just being able to kind of listen like that, kind of separate the four and then listen to them as a collective unit. You know, I know that applies to pretty much everybody, all groups, but for some reason Led Zeppelin seems to have that more in a distinct way. You know, if you're going to say I'm going to focus on just what Jones is doing, you can follow exactly what he's doing. You can hone in on it, and you don't have to strain to really get the feel for the bass, not where Led Zeppelin is concerned. And when I notice the bass, I know that's a masterful musician playing that instrument. That's what I know. And the same goes with all the other instruments, and of course Plant singing. So, yo man, if I was to sit down and list the reasons why I like Led Zeppelin, I would probably be closing it towards close to 100 reasons now. And this is coming from a guy who is not a crazy fanatical fan. You know? And I'm only, what, seven albums in, and I've got a couple of albums left and a number of live reactions left to go. So there you go. That's where I stand where it comes to Led Zeppelin. So man, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do a little background, try to get some info on this song. Every song tells a story, and specifically what the motivation, how the song was created, the timeline of the band, where they were in their growth progression, and all of that sort of thing. And I know that around this time, the band was facing some challenges, with Plant being wheelchair bound, and with the uncertainty of never being able to walk again, the stress that put on the group. And also, you know, I know that there were some issues with substance abuse and alcoholism, so there were a lot of challenges in the group. But again, I'm not seeing a decline in their creativity and their musical prowess. You know, I mean, hey, among groups and among albums, there's got to be a best and there's got to be a worst. No, okay, this is not their best, but, you know, is there such a thing as a worst? Perhaps there is. Maybe this is the worst when you compare it to all the other albums. But again, it's still a really, really damn fine album where Led Zeppelin is concerned. So, yeah, man, there it is. Candy Store Rock. Let's do a quick read, man. Get some background here. So, Candy Store Rock is a song by English rock band Led Zeppelin, released in '76 on their album Presence. It was also released as a single in the US, but it did not chart. Overview. The track is done in the style of a 1950s rock and roll number. Some of lead singer Robert Plant's lyrics are a homage to rockabilly idioms. Robert Plant put the lyrics together from parts of Elvis Presley songs. It's got a little air of familiarity there, looking good enough to eat and all that. John Bonham's drumming is controlled rather than bombastic, driven by interplay between the ride cymbals, bell, and snare. Meanwhile, Jimmy Page's guitar solo is short and measured, coming in halfway through the song. The band recorded the song at Musicland Studios in Germany, and it only took them about an hour to write it. See? It's exactly what I'm talking about. They got up in the morning, sat down, flipped a coin to the side, and boom, in an hour they've got a great song. Plant sang from a wheelchair because he was recovering at the time from a car accident he had sustained in Greece. Plant considers Candy Store Rock to be one of his favorite songs from Presence. They were under pressure to finish Presence so that the Rolling Stones could use the studio. Okay, live renditions. Candy Store Rock was never performed live by the band at Led Zeppelin concerts, except for a brief riff by Page at Riverfront Coliseum in Cincinnati on the 20th of April 1977. However, a 1-minute improvisation was played live in concert by Page and Plant as a Black Dog intro on the 26th of July in '95 at Wembley Arena. The song was also played live in Montreux by Page and Plant on the 7th of July 2001. And I'm pretty sure this is the live rendition that we're going to be checking out after. Reception. Let's read reception. In a contemporary review for Presence, Stephen Davis of Rolling Stone described Candy Store Rock as perfectly evoking the LA milieu in which the Zepp composed. Okay. He further described the song as sounding like an unholy hybrid in which Buddy Holly is gifted onto the quivering stem of David Bowie. Let me read that again, man. He further described the song as sounding like an unholy hybrid in which Buddy Holly is grafted onto the quivering stem of David Bowie, unquote. Okay, got it. Buddy Holly and David Bowie. I gotta do a Buddy Holly reaction. Send me some Buddy Holly material. In a retrospective review of Presence, Andrew Duskus of Pop Matters described Candy Store Rock as sounding like the prequel to 1971's Rock and Roll from their 4th album. Okay. Singer Robert Plant later described Candy Store Rock, along with Achilles' Last Stand, as the saving graces of Presence. Plant said the song's rhythm section was inspiring to him, partly due to the album's tumultuous recording sessions. All right, and that is Wikipedia song fact info. Not a lot of info. So the last sentence here, Plant said the song's rhythm section was inspiring to him partly due to the album's tumultuous recording sessions. So the recording sessions by themselves were tumultuous. Can you tell me why that was? It doesn't go into detail here. Now, I know around their life and everything, things were happening. Like I said, he was wheelchair bound, and there were issues within the individual members of the band, and they've had their demons and their vices and their ghosts that haunted them. But the recording sessions themselves, what was happening with the tumultuous recording sessions? What was happening there that made it tumultuous? If you guys know your Led Zeppelin history, especially around this time of recording with the Presence album, let me know, because it's not telling me exactly what is meant by the tumultuous recording sessions. Let me know about that. I can only guess, but I have a feeling I'll be wrong. All right, man. So that's enough reading there. So let's bounce to our live rendition of the same song, man. And Yeah, Page and Plant, Candy Store Rock. All right, Page and Plant, Candy Store Rock. Let's get it.
It's almost 30 years since Jimmy and I came here with Led Zeppelin to Montreux to work with Claude Knobs and the guys in the gang here. When we arrived, we came with all this information and data about American 50s rockabilly and blues and the work of Sam Phillips and the musicians who worked out of Tennessee and the work of Ike Turner, who brought a lot of really amazing people to Sam Phillips' stable at Sun Records. That was the reason that we started playing in the first place. Sam with Howlin' Wolf, Billy Lee Riley, Elvis, you know, the whole deal. So that brought us here in the first place, and it allowed Led Zeppelin to stretch into rockabilly or rock and roll. This is a song that came from the Presence album, leans very heavily in that area. Apologies to Joey Otis. It's called Candy Store Rock.
So this was 2001. get that long outro going, just like in the studio rendition. Excellent. All right, hey. So, I believe that this was their 2001 performance. If I'm not mistaken, I read that. I'm just going back here. Where did it say? All right, yeah. Oh, this was in 95. No, wait a minute. So let me just read this part here again, man. I just want to track when this was. A 1-minute improvisation was played live in concert by Page and Plant as Black Dog intro in July of 95 at Wembley Arena. The song was also played live in Montreux by Page and Plant. Yeah, 7th of July 2001. So that was in 2001, I'm assuming. When Jimmy still had his dark hair, just before he went gray. And I believe it was 2003 or 4 that the It Might Get Loud video came out. And when he had his, I'm going by the timeline of when his hair was gray. I mean, yeah, maybe he could have colored it back in 2001. But I believe that's when that's when it was shot, the video there, It Might Get Loud. And I remember doing a reaction and seeing him for the first time in his older years, and his hair was gray. So I'm just kind of going by a timeline like that. All right. So, yeah, Scott, thank you, man. And I understand that all of the links and the footage and all that can't always be of the best video and especially audio quality. But it was really, really cool. I got the gist of what they were doing, and their performance looked really good. Wish I was there live. That's all I can say. But yeah, man, this is a great song. And again, it's just a good example and a showcase of their range of creativity, what they can create. What this song, they wrote this in just an hour? Come on, man. You know, holy cow. You talk about not just having skills, not just having a creative reservoir to draw from, but within an hour you can just sit down and just create something excuse me, and then add music and then come up with something this good. Yo, so many of us just wish that we had that, you know. So yeah, man, great song and great performances, both the studio and the live rendition. So many years later, they still look great. They're rocking. And again, man, Jimmy Page, you know, he could be standing still in one spot and I would probably still tag him as my favorite guitarist. There's just an essence that comes from the guy. The spirit of his delivery, the look on his face, the movements, all of that sort of thing just makes him really masterful. And whenever he's on stage, even among a whole bunch of greats, my mind, my eyes just zoom in on him, doesn't it? When you see a Led Zeppelin concert footage, or whenever Page is on stage with anyone, it seems like my mind's eye just zooms in on him more so than anyone else. That's why I like the guy so much, you know. It's about his playing, but it's also about his stage presence, the persona and the essence of him. There's something that comes from him that resonates very well, and I really, really like him for that. So, all right, man. Yeah, so now that was my reaction. I'm just scrolling down here. And I just wanted to say too, I've probably ruffled some feathers. People are really sensitive, especially in the Led Zeppelin fan base arena. I probably ruffled some feathers just by saying that I don't like the crunch, because how long has it been? Months later, people are still taking jabs at me about not liking the crunch. So apologies if I've ruffled some feathers talking about, hey man, make sure that you don't drop your point of view too harshly on me because I'm impressionable, and about the crunch. I've got to sometimes sweep that because sometimes I get private messages and I get taken to task for it, man. So I'm going to try and sweep that as I go along right now. Nip some in the bud. Yeah, man. So I'm just going down to my notes here, man. So when you're seeing this on the 1st of February, the new month. So we've got a new artist of the month for February, and it's Neil Young. Neil Young is the artist of the month, and it was a really nice, tight little grouping. There was Neil Young, then there was Chicago, and again, for like the 6th time now, Paul Rogers hitting the top 5. Santana was in there and ZZ Top. So whenever artists show up in the top 5 a number of times, I really start paying attention and I take mental notes. And my mental notes tells me to stretch out their reactions, because ultimately I know they're going to end up being artist of the month at some point in time. And that's how I was treating Aerosmith, because Aerosmith, aside from the Allman Brothers, has been in the top 5 the most, and I knew it was an eventual thing. And I was kind of regretting doing so many reactions to Aerosmith prior to them becoming artist of the month. But it's all good, man. I didn't mind repeating some of the stuff that I've done reactions for. But that's the method to my madness when I'm seeing this whole top 5 in the running for artist of the month, and when I'm seeing a pattern. So, but Neil Young is artist of the month. So let me know definitely what recommendations you have for Neil Young. He's got a vast catalog. He's been all over. He's been in different bands. So the question is, how do I react? How do I proceed? What do I draw from? That sort of thing. Because I have a feeling that a chronology might be just cutting it too short or selling him out too short, because I've only got so many reactions to give in a month. So maybe I should jump around in spots and get the key pieces. You know what I mean? There are some artists where that will apply. I use the Rolling Stones as a great example. It would do them a disservice to do their first 6 albums. Usually within a month's time, I can get maybe 6 or 7 albums done, but they've got like 30 albums, right? So it makes sense to kind of maybe jump around and follow a pattern of their best or most recommended. So it might apply to the Neil Young situation too. By the way, man, I don't know if you're a patron or if you are a subscriber watching this. If you're a subscriber watching this, what I've been doing with my patrons is I've been making some experiments. I've been publishing polls, questionnaires, just to see where it's at. And I want to publish it as much as I can so that everyone can actually see and track for themselves what's happening. So because I get a lot of messages, sometimes a ton of private messages, hey, who's in the lead, this sort of thing. And so if I can publish it, you can track it yourself. You can say, oh, okay, well, yeah, Neil Young's in the lead, so let me put my vote towards that. Or, you know what I'm saying? So it is easier for me, and it will greatly cut down on my number of messages that I get. I only have about 135 patrons, but I get about 50 messages a day, man. So it would really cut down on that sort of thing. So let me know what you think about the questionnaires and the polls. That'd be cool. So artist of the month, and I'll be coming back to YouTube pretty soon. I've figured out how I'm going to go forward with this whole COPPA thing, and I feel a little bit safer. Not completely out of the woods, but a little bit safer. I've been paying attention to what's been going on with everyone else and seeing where the dust has somewhat settled, and I've uncovered and learned a few things. I'm still going to defend my actions in a sense of pulling all of my shit off of YouTube. I'm very, very glad that I did that, and I don't regret it for a sec. because, yo, man, when somebody has a guillotine on top of you and they can direct it anywhere they want, you know, you just don't know, right? So I'm definitely holding strong and defending my decision to pull my shit off of YouTube. But I will be coming back soon because I think I've found a very clear and safe path. And yeah, man, that is all of my updates. So now you guys are up to date in Wayne's World, and look for my next Led Zeppelin reaction in about a week's time. I know some of you want me to actually expedite it sooner, but no, man, I've been doing a Led Zeppelin reaction once a week for the longest time, and that's how I'm going to continue with it. There's just so much more to do, so much more to learn and uncover, and it just wouldn't be fair just to congest all of my reaction time with just Led Zeppelin. So there's a lot to get to, man. I've only done one Chicago reaction. I've only done one Paul Rogers reaction. I've only done, oh man, I haven't even ever done a ZZ Top reaction. I've only done one Santana reaction. So you see what I'm saying? There's a tremendous amount for me to get to. And this classic rock walk that I'm taking, it's like me walking into a buffet. You don't just gorge on one thing, you know, that's a waste. So what you want to do is you want to take little tastes of everything and then go back and then load up on what you really do like, you know what I mean? But in this case, it's just going to be a continuous taking bits and pieces of everything. So I'm spreading out my exposure to classic rock and going in all kinds of directions. And that's why I like the complimentary quad so much, because people have different recommendations for me and take me in places where I would not have gone myself and would not know where to start. That's my thing. That's why the whole subscriber patronage thing is a big deal. Without that support base and people guiding me in different areas, I would have quit a long time ago, because I would have been like a feather in the whirlwind, completely lost without those recommendations and directions. So thanks again, man. Anyway, so hey, man, enough talking. That's it for me. Look for my next Led Zeppelin reaction in about another week's time, 6 days, 7 days, something like that. And what have I got coming up? I'll get some recommendations for you, and then you'll see Neil Young in a day or two. And of course, I'm gonna continue with my complimentary quads. So have yourselves a great day. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in my next Led Zeppelin reaction. Peace.